General Hospital spoilers. Danny receives a letter from Monica, the heart-shattering truth that Jason is not his biological father. Port Charles is about to be rocked to its emotional core once again, as a shocking revelation threatens to upend one of General Hospital's most sacred family bonds. For years, Danny Morgan has proudly carried his father Jason's name, the son of the enforcer, the protector, the man who sacrificed everything for his family. But now, an unexpected letter from Monica Quartermaine will unravel a truth so devastating it will redefine not only Danny's life but also the very foundation of the Quartermaine and Morgan legacies. This week's spoilers tease that Monica's health scare leads her to make a painful confession, one she's carried in silence for over a decade. And when Danny opens that envelope, what he discovers inside will change everything he's ever believed about who he is. It begins on a quiet morning at the Quartermaine mansion. The sun streams through the wide windows as Monica sits at her writing desk, trembling slightly as she seals the final envelope. Her handwriting, once precise, now quivers with age and emotion. Dear Danny, the letter begins, the words heavy with love and regret. If you're reading this, it means I am no longer here to tell you in person what you have every right to know. Monica's health has been fragile lately, a battle she's fought quietly. After Jason's latest disappearance and the chaos surrounding the Corinthos family, she realized that there were truths left unsaid, truths that could haunt the next generation if not brought to light. So she wrote 3 letters, one for Sam, one for Michael, and one for Danny. Only Danny's, however, holds the truth that would crack open everything. At Sam's penthouse, the mail sits on the counter for days before Danny notices the thick white envelope addressed to him in Monica's neat cursive. It's rare for him to get personal mail, and rarer still for it to be from Monica directly. The last time she'd written, it was a birthday card, full of affection and little reminders of how proud she was of him. This time, the tone is different. The letter feels heavier, almost like it's carrying a piece of her soul. When Danny finally sits down to open it, he's alone. Sam's gone to a meeting with Alexis, and Scout's at a sleepover. The house is silent except for the faint hum of the refrigerator. He takes a deep breath and begins to read. At first, it feels like a typical family letter. Monica reminiscing about Jason's strength, how much he loved Danny, and how proud he would be of the man Danny is becoming. But then the tone shifts. There is something you were never told, something I should have told your mother long ago but didn't because I thought I was protecting everyone. I see now that silence only causes more pain. Danny, Jason Morgan is not your biological father. The words don't make sense at first. Danny rereads the line, thinking it's a mistake. Maybe Monica was confused or her memory was failing. But as the letter continues, it becomes undeniable. Monica explains that during Sam's pregnancy, there had been a mix-up in DNA records at General Hospital after Heather Weber tampered with files connected to Jason's presumed death and Franco's transplant. The DNA sample used to confirm Jason's paternity had been compromised, and a second test, one Monica privately conducted years later, revealed a completely different genetic match. The man whose DNA matched Danny's was Drew Kane. Danny's hands shake as he finishes the letter. The air around him feels thick, suffocating. He remembers every moment he had with Jason. The motorcycle rides. The late-night talks. The way Jason's eyes softened whenever he looked at him. Jason was his hero, the man he wanted to be. Now, that foundation crumbles. Monica's letter continues, describing how she discovered the truth by accident while reviewing the hospital's confidential files after Drew's presumed death. She had compared the results again, triple-checking before daring to believe them. Drew was the biological father. Jason had loved and raised Danny, but by blood. Danny belonged to Drew. Jason was your father in every way that mattered, Monica writes. But Drew was the one who gave you life. I never wanted this truth to hurt you. I only hope you'll understand that sometimes love is stronger than blood. Tears blur Danny's vision. He doesn't know whether to scream, cry, or tear the letter apart. Jason's face flashes before him, the man who took a bullet to protect him, who risked everything to bring him home from Cassadine Island, who made him feel safe even when the world was chaos. If Jason isn't his biological father, what does that make him now? A stranger? A lie? When Sam returns home, she finds Danny sitting on the couch, the letter unfolded on the table, his eyes red and hollow. Danny? What's wrong? She asks, setting down her purse. He doesn't look up. He just whispers, "You lied to me." Sam's heart skips a beat. She walks closer, sees Monica's handwriting, and freezes. Oh my God, she didn't. Danny stands, his voice breaking. Did you know? Did you know that Jason isn't my dad? Sam's throat tightens. She can't speak for a long moment, because deep down, part of her suspected. The inconsistencies, the confusion after Drew's return, the doctor's hesitant answers. But she'd buried it all, telling herself the tests had been redone, that Jason was Danny's father because that was what everyone wanted to believe. I didn't know for sure, she finally says softly. Monica wanted to protect you. Protect me from what? The truth. Danny snaps. From knowing who I really am. He storms toward his room, slamming the door behind him, leaving Sam in tears. The guilt that's haunted her for years now resurfaces, sharper than ever. She realizes Monica's deathbed confession wasn't an act of betrayal. It was mercy. And now Sam must face a reality she'd spent years avoiding. Word spreads quickly in Port Charles, first to Alexis, then to Carly, and finally to Drew himself. When Drew receives the call, he's stunned into silence. He remembers holding Danny as a baby, back when he still thought he was Jason. The bond he felt wasn't forced, it was instinctive. It explained so much now. The connection, the familiarity, the fierce protectiveness that lingered even after he learned he wasn't supposed to be the father. Drew goes to see Danny immediately, but Sam tries to stop him. He's not ready, she says. Drew shakes his head. Neither am I. But we can't hide from this. At first, Danny refuses to open the door. But when he finally does, Drew sees the same eyes staring back at him, his own. That resemblance, once coincidental, now undeniable. I don't want another father, Danny mutters. I already had one. And now he's gone. I know, Drew replies quietly. And I'll never try to replace him. But I want to be here if you'll let me. You deserve to know who you are, Danny, and you deserve to have all the people who love you in your life. The tension between them softens. It's awkward, painful, but there's also an invisible pull, something familiar and unspoken. Act 6, the Quartermain fallout. At the mansion, Ned and Brooklyn are stunned by the news. For Monica, it was her last wish, that the truth would bring healing, not division. But the revelation sends shockwaves through the family. Ned worries about the Quartermain estate and inheritance implications. If Drew is Danny's biological father, then technically, Danny is a direct Quartermain heir through Drew, he says, ever pragmatic. Brooklyn rolls her eyes. Can you not talk about wills right now? A kid just found out his whole life was a lie. But Olivia, ever the voice of compassion, quietly adds, maybe this is Monica's way of making sure the next generation doesn't repeat our mistakes, secrets, lies, pretending everything's okay. Meanwhile, Michael pays Sam a visit, offering quiet support. He, too, knows what it's like to live with blurred lines of parentage, raised by one man, biologically tied to another. Family isn't about DNA, he tells Danny gently later that night. It's about who shows up for you. Carly, always fiercely loyal to Jason, reacts with a storm of emotions. When she hears the news, she refuses to believe it at first. That's ridiculous. Jason is his father, she snaps. He loved that boy more than anything. I don't care what some letter says. But as Drew explains Monica's findings and the DNA records, Carly's defenses start to crumble. Her eyes well up. Jason would have wanted Danny to know the truth, she whispers. But he'd also want him to know that love doesn't just vanish because of a test result. In a rare moment of unity, Carly, Drew, and Sam agree that Danny needs time, and that Jason's memory must be honored, not erased. But the tension between Drew and Carly deepens, as old feelings resurface in the wake of their shared grief. Days pass, and Danny isolates himself. He skips school, avoids his friends, and spends hours walking by the docks where Jason used to take him. In those quiet moments, he tries to make sense of it all. He talks to Spinelli one afternoon at the coffee warehouse. Spinelli, always empathetic, says, Jason was your father in every way that mattered, young sir. Biology defines creation, not connection. But Danny shakes his head. Then why does it feel like I lost him twice? That line hits Spinelli hard, because he knows exactly what Danny means. Later, Danny finds himself in the Quartermain crypt, standing before Jason's plaque. I don't know who I am anymore, he whispers. Am I yours or his? In that stillness, it's almost as if Jason's presence lingers. The wind shifts, a faint warmth brushing against Danny's cheek, like an unseen reassurance. He doesn't need words to understand. Jason would always see him as his son. One evening, Drew finds Danny sitting on the docks again. He doesn't lecture him or push. Instead, he simply sits beside him. You know, Drew begins quietly, I used to think the worst thing in life was finding out I wasn't Jason. That I was just someone else. But then I realized it gave me the chance to find out who I really was. Danny looks up. How did you do it? I stopped trying to be someone else's version of me. And I started being the man I wanted to be. Maybe that's something we can figure out together. For the first time, Danny smiles faintly. Maybe. That small moment of connection marks the beginning of something new, a father-son relationship born not out of biology, but of mutual loss and understanding. As Sam watches the two from afar, her heart aches with a complicated mix of relief and sadness. She's lost Jason twice, once to death, and now to truth. But in this strange twist of fate, she sees something miraculous. Drew stepping into the role of father not by choice, but by destiny. Later that night, she visits Monica's grave, placing flowers beside her headstone. You are right, she says softly. The truth hurts, but it also heals. The letter that shattered Danny's identity also opened a new path, one that reconnects the fractured pieces of the Quatermain family. Drew, Sam, and Danny begin therapy together, learning how to rebuild trust and reframe what family means. But Port Charles never rests. A mysterious figure soon watches from the shadows, a man with Jason's gait, his piercing eyes. Rumors swirl that Jason might not be gone after all, that perhaps the truth Monica uncovered wasn't the whole story. Could it be that another layer of deception lies buried beneath Monica's confession? Did Helena Cassadine manipulate even this truth from beyond the grave? The possibility leaves fans buzzing, and Danny torn between wanting answers and fearing what they might mean. Weeks later, Danny visits the Quatermain mansion again. He brings the letter with him, creased, tear-stained, but treasured. He places it on Monica's desk, whispering, "Thank you for telling me." Then, he joins the family for dinner. Drew sits beside him. Brooke Lynn teases him about his hair. Ned grumbles about ELQ shares. For the first time in weeks, laughter fills the house again. Danny looks around, realizing that family isn't defined by one truth or one person. It's a web, messy, imperfect, but real. And in that messy love, he finds peace. Months later, Danny stands at the docks again, looking at the horizon. He wears Jason's old dog tags, a gift from Carly, and a ring Drew gave him engraved with the initials DC. I used to think I had to be Jason's son, he says in voiceover. Now I know I just have to be me, Danny. He throws a small rock into the water, smiling faintly. But wherever you are, Dad, both of you, thank you for loving me. The camera pans upward toward the setting sun, a symbol of both ending and beginning. This emotional General Hospital storyline doesn't just rewrite paternity, it rewrites legacy. It's about truth, forgiveness, and the bonds that transcend DNA. It gives Danny Morgan a chance to step out from his father's shadow and forge his own path while paying tribute to both men who shaped him. With Drew and Sam reconnecting through their son, Carly reflecting on Jason's enduring impact, and the Quatermain family finding new meaning in their shared past, Port Charles is once again reminded that secrets may break hearts, but truth, however painful, sets them free. And as whispers grow about Jason's possible return, the next chapter promises to be nothing short of explosive.